Live.
Looks like we're live.
We're live. Awesome. Oh gosh, I got that weird feedback again. That's so strange.
Maybe you're gonna have to. I don't know what to do about that. Ask Caitlin. She's genius. All right, folks. Hey, I'm not editing. I don't think so. I'll talk for a second while Jess figures that out. Hello, everyone. We have many questions from the people who have registered. My name is Waylon Lewis of Elephant Journal, and today is the last day to register for Elephant Academy. The link is in the sidebar if you'd like to join me. But we're not here to sell or push anything. We're here to talk about, to offer a free live training to all your questions on mindful communication, on joining your work with your passion. So Jess, are you echoing?
No, I'm not. I'm good now. It's all good. It's all good. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Waylon, I love your coffee cup. It's fantastic.
I just found it. Finding a George W. Bush coffee cup in a yard sale at Boulder is harder than finding.
Sure. Like total bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to this AWA, Ask Waylon Anything. That literally means you can ask him anything. You can ask him what he had for breakfast today. You can ask him what his favorite book is. You can ask him what kind of book he's got on the back of his toilet. I mean, ask him anything. But I want to give this man a proper introduction, and then Waylon is going to lead us in a bow. But I'd like to introduce him first so that we can all just kind of like get really excited about what we're going to be doing for the next hour or so. So Waylon Lewis, right over here, he is the founder and CEO of Elephant Journal, and he's the host of Walk the Talk Show. He's been named #1 for in the U.S. on Twitter, not once but twice, for green content. He's the Tree Huggers Changemaker and Eco Ambassador in Culture and Celebrity. Waylon is the green hero. Right? He's the green hero for Discovery Network's Planet Green. He's been named the greatest 25 in health and wellness in the U.S. He's recently authored his first book, Things I Would Like to Do With You, which is, just like clutching, beautiful, aching heart, beautiful read. It's an amazing book. And he is also a doggy daddy to Redford, lazy yogi, 365-day bicycle commuter, and amongst other things, he's the man behind Elephant Journal and its tremendous growth that we've seen over the last 15 years. So welcome, Waylon, to your own show. Welcome.
Thank you. I pay her to say all that, and you did a great job. Very sweet of you. And Jess is a longtime colleague, and we're honored to work with her. So we share all those little awards and stuff so that you actually know why, if there is some training to be had here. And basically, on a fundamental level, forget the bio. The point of my life, and hopefully of yours, is to be a benefit and have fun doing so to this crazy, horrible, cruel, and yet completely wonderful and sweet and worthwhile world. So we actually are here for one lifetime. We have the ability, 8 hours a day, if not far more, to be a benefit and have fun doing so and make money doing so. And that's what Elephant Academy is about. Over to you.
Awesome. Well, I want to give just a couple of technical things. If it's your first time, welcome to Crowdcast. This is kind of our online virtual live stream. This is where we hold all of our live classes if you're a part of Elephant Academy, if you were or plan to be. If you're having any kind of technical issues, refresh your page, turn off all of your other apps, Skype, Facebook, everything else, so you can, so all the juice can kind of be coming right here, so you can be super present, and also so you're not distracted. And so yeah, refresh your page.
On a practical level, yeah, Crowdcast, which is what we're doing, this live video, is incredibly intensive. So if you have any technical issues, close everything else. You can reopen them as soon as you're bored of me.
Well, let's start asking questions, and we just want to encourage folks out there listening to put your questions in the chat or put your questions down below. We're going to get to as many of them as possible, but we've had them coming in today, so we want to dive right in. Are you ready, Waylon?
Hi.
Let's bow, right?
Sounds great. So we begin these. Any of you who know Naropa University or have Buddhist friends, basically just take a moment. We're not going to meditate or anything, but this is like a little moment of meditation. So please join me, the 94 of you who are here. Take a good posture, perhaps your best posture of the day. You can kind of loosen up, do it loosely. It's not an uptight thing. Find a good posture. Eyes are open, and with friendliness and a good morning to one another, let's bow. And now we can formally and joyfully begin. All right, Jess.
All right, so we're going to take a question from Lindsay on Crowdcast first. She says, what's the best way to go about finding a topic to write about? She struggles with her writing being too personal for her to share, too general, or not being, she doesn't feel like she's an expert on the topic. So how do you find a topic if you're struggling with that?
Well, without knowing more about what you're writing, my encouragement would be to share what you don't want to share. Many people would say, write what you know. You're an expert in what you know. If you don't want to write about personal or intimate issues, maybe explore that. You could write about that. You could write about why I don't want to be overly vulnerable, or as my grandma would say, hanging your laundry out in public. But there is a quote I like to refer to by Allen Ginsberg. I thought it was by Kerouac, but they're pretty good friends. So the Ginsberg quote is, "The world is dying or bleeding to hear what you least want to share." So there's something powerful about sharing, and it doesn't have to be vomiting your emotions. It doesn't have to be about that awful thing that happened in your childhood. But it can be anything that's genuine, and that's the cathartic process of writing, where you write something and it actually feels good. You open up, your mind actually learns how to handle that experience or memory, and then it inspires and helps others who read it. So that would be my encouragement. And then if you don't want to do that, you can be a journalist, and journalists are people who don't know anything about. So like the other day, I got to interview Mike Resendez he was played by Mark Ruffalo in Spotlight, and he's a Pulitzer Prize winning, journalist, and he wrote about child abuse in the Catholic Church, systemic child abuse, and he didn't know anything about that going in. So you can do research, investigative research, and that's good old journalism. So I would encourage both. All right, Jess.
Well, okay, so I have a question for you. So, and you wrote about, you interviewed Lester Brown, right? And something he said is media is the key to saving the planet and us. And I'm assuming that all of us here, that are here watching this are interested in media, interested in conscious media. So how is media right now in this frame that we're living in a key to saving the planet? What's our job here?
Well, that's a great question, Jess. A lot of people like to insult media. Liberals like to insult corporate media. Conservatives like to insult liberal media. Everyone loves to beat up on media. Media is a kind of general word that can mean anything. It can mean music, it can mean PR, it can mean marketing, it can mean journalism, it can mean a blog. So media is a somewhat useless term to me. Media is sort of like food. Food can be a carrot or a steak or a whatever, right? But I'm vegan, so going with that analogy, let's talk about one exact kind of media, which is journalism. And journalism can save the world. That's what Lester Brown was referring to when I interviewed him. Journalism is simply the pursuit of truth. And if that sounds familiar, for any of you who are religious or spiritual, that is our path, a pursuit of truth, a path of truth, of honesty, of being genuine, and trying to be of service.
So on this path of truth, there's a lot of distraction, right? And so we have to examine your motivation, right? And I was wondering, maybe you can talk a little bit about distraction versus motivation and build that bridge between as we're trying to figure out, like, where's our voice in all of this noise? How do we not create more noise? How do we be of benefit, right?
Yeah, so my analogy I often share is like when I go to my local bookstore here, most of the magazine covers have 8 headlines on every cover, or 18 headlines. Cosmo will literally have the model's face and then like headlines all over everywhere except for her like face. And that is typical of media, right? Where everyone's trying to shout and get your attention. It's kind of like in Harry Potter, some of the magical things they would open up in the magical newspaper or whatever would actually yell at you. So mindful media, whatever you want to call it, journalism is sort of the opposite. It's more like if you're going to a bar and you're looking to date and someone is yelling for your attention the whole time, that could work if they're really handsome or beautiful and charming and funny. But if they're secure in themselves, they probably won't be yelling for your attention the whole time. They'll be more relaxed. They'll connect. They'll have a conversation. They'll listen. They'll talk. They'll joke. Maybe they'll buy you a drink or you'll buy them one, whatever. But it'll be an exchange with some space. And that is good, again, good communication. So our method, and we've won many awards doing so, it works. We've grown to 5 million Facebook fans. It's like 3.5 times more than MSNBC, which is well funded. Is not to be desperate, is simply to say, look, I think composting or equal rights or mindful parenting are really interesting. Here's an article about it. Here's a good title. Here's a good image. And if you'd like to read it, this is how I connected to it. And if you don't want to read it, that's your choice. It's not my choice. It's like, again, I'm vegan. I'm not trying to convert everybody. It's your choice. It's not up to me whether you're vegan or not. It's not. I can offer stuff if you're interested, like this is how the transition went. This is how I get protein. Do I enjoy tacos? Whatever. But I'm not going to try to convert you. So that's mindful media. It's just being kind of mindful, being calm, being grounded, being present, having a sense of humor about yourself, and a sense of empathy, caring. So I don't know if that was helpful, but.
It's super helpful. And, you know, Cecilia on Crowdcast. Hi, Cecilia. Thanks for your question. I have a question from her that I feel like is a great follow-up to this. So we're talking about being relaxed, having a sense of empathy, and there's so many quote unquote issues out there that feel like there's a lot of urgency to them to get the word out, to create more awareness for. Yes. So how do we maintain that, like, a sense of this maybe joyful empathy, mindfulness, when we're writing about things that are very difficult? How do we, you know, how do we stay relaxed when the issues we're so passionate about them to the point where, you know, we're ready to protest or get thrown in jail or whatever? How do we continue to strengthen, you know, our connection to the mindfulness that you speak about?
If your cause, this is a beautiful question. If your cause is that you're passionate about, say, say equal rights. You know, we've had a lot of racist stuff in the news. So you're incredibly passionate about it. It's incredibly personal to you. Just tell the story as it is with facts, and that should be enough. The facts, the truth shall set you free. You don't need to oversell it. You don't need to hype it. You can just tell it as it is. If you told the story of the desegregation of elementary schools back in the, I think it was the early 60s or late 50s, those were incredibly powerful stories, and there was no need to hype it. On the other hand, you can tell it in a personal way. They were called new journalists back in the day. Now they're probably kind of old. New journalists would tell journalistic fact reporting with the tools of creative writing, which is one of my favorite ways to write. So you don't have to be objective, but you can be truthful and fact-based. You can be subjective and tell the story through your own experience. So like if I went to, Standing Rock, where they were protesting fracking or the pipeline, but trying to protect their water, I could tell it through my story. Like, I'm scared to go. I'm going with my bags. I arrive and it's dawn, and la happens, and here's the experience. Here's how the camps are relating to each other, and then, so I can tell it through my experience. One of the best examples of that is Schindler's List, where Spielberg was able to take probably almost like a documentary in black and white about an awful subject, the Holocaust, which some people don't believe happened, and it was a long movie, 3 hours or something. It's not a very sexy subject. A lot of people think you can only get people to read about, cute cats playing or puppies or happy stories. You know, it's very important to also bring awareness to negative stories so that you can make things better. And certainly remembering the Holocaust is vital to human history so that we cannot repeat that kind of thing. So what Spielberg did through that movie was he told the story through this waspy guy who wasn't Jewish, who wasn't going through that experience, but who was witnessing it and who was growing in empathy and as he learned what was happening. And that made the story a story of personal transformation, not just a historical story. So he wound up getting millions and millions and millions of people to watch this 3-hour black and white epic story of the Holocaust, which, you know, when's the last time you sat down for 3 hours and watched a 3-hour documentary about the Holocaust? Most people don't. So that is the power of storytelling. And you can use those tools to tell facts.
So I want to jump in and just kind of share for a minute and say that a lot of the things that you're speaking to, storytelling, facts, focusing on facts from a journalistic and ethical and journalistic point of view, there are things that we do cover in the Academy program. You know, it's like, so these, I mean, you're talking about Steven Spielberg, or we're sitting here talking to Waylon Lewis, who's been a journalist for, you know, for as long as I have known him, as long as I can remember, you know, engaging in these practices every single day. And so, you know, some of these questions that you guys are asking and bringing to the table, I'm sure Waylon can speak to this, like just the art of practice, the art of commitment to this craft, and you will become better and better and better. And we introduce and much, much more in the Academy program. Do you want to talk to that at all, Waylon?
Yeah, so the actual Academy is specific skills. It's basically like if you're going to go to basketball camp or ballet camp or whatever, you're going to practice like 8 hours a day. So we, you know, sadly, we don't have you for 8 hours a day, but we will give you, say, 7 hours to 15 hours, whatever range of commitment you're going to jump in to do the full Academy. And if you don't have that kind of time, you can audit, elephantjournal.com/audit. And that's just self-paced on your own time. And it's cheaper and you get the access to the same materials. But if you do the full apprenticeship, you get, you know, small groups and lots of support, and you're going to learn how to run Facebook pages if you want, live in the field. You can actually take over an elephant Facebook page. No other training program will give you that opportunity. If you don't have the time to do that, you don't have to do it. We're not looking for free labor. We're looking to basically torture you with training. And you have to do that with 50,000 fans. You can't just make it up out of nothing. And Facebook is, you know, really where, sadly, in my mind, 75% of all media is read and shared. Sadly, because their algorithm twists what people see. So people typically won't see, they won't see any facts or journalism or moderate views, typically. You'll have vegans yelling at ranchers and liberals yelling at conservatives and blacks yelling at, you know, Nazis or whatever. You'll have every extreme, right? But you don't get people out of their silos actually talking and listening to each other, because it's very soapboxy. And not all of that is Facebook's fault. A lot of that is human nature. But, you know, to create a container and an environment, as we've tried to do with Elephant, like I just had a wonderful African-American writer on Elephant. She's written several articles, email me, furious, heartbroken, saying she wants her articles taken off of Elephant. And she wants no part of Elephant. We should be ashamed, because we posted an article by some other author on the use of the N-word, or when the N-word, how it should not be used. And she disagreed with that article. And that author was white. And I just said to her, I don't know if she'll listen or agree, but I said to her, look, we're a place for conversation, and you can share a response, a rebuttal to his article if you think it's wrong, and we'll put it at the top of his article as a link. Read the rebuttal here. We want conversation. If we just all fall back into our self-righteous places, even if we're right, that's not going to create peace in the world. We need to stop yelling at each other at some point and actually talk. If you have a relationship, a marriage or a relationship, and all you do is self-righteously yell at each other, and you're both right, and you're both in the corners of your living room just being right, that, or different rooms. That's not going to solve anything. So Elephant is really a place where, like, I'm vegan again, and we have many people write about mindful meat, right? Grass-fed beef, whatever, all these issues. And I'm always just reminding people, like, our common enemy is factory farming here, which is torture of animals. So even if you love meat, you don't want to torture animals. Maybe you've decided you're okay with killing them to eat them, and that's your choice, and it's a responsible choice by you, and it's not my job to change your mind. I can try by offering good info and yummy taco recipes, right? But I want people to actually talk.
You know, you really speak to what you talked about before around coming from a relaxed, empathetic place. So this idea of mindful journalism allows us to engage in conversation, just even talking about some of the questions that we've received, engage in conversation, engage with the points that are difficult or hard for us maybe to rub up against from a mindful place. So yeah, okay.
Well,
new question.
One more point. I was like just this morning, I was sharing, there's this beautiful viral video on Facebook right now of a little baby cow, a calf, sticking his tongue out and catching snowflakes. And it's such a human moment, right? We've all done that when we were 10-year-olds, right? Sticking your tongue out and catching snowflakes on your tongue. And then you pull back and you look, and the cow, this little baby calf, is in a plastic pen without any heat, surrounded by other hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of plastic pens. They've all just been taken from their moms. They will never get to exercise their whole life. They're in little pens. They will never get to play with one another, and then they'll be killed for veal. And veal is the product of the dairy industry. So I used to be vegetarian. I stopped being vegetarian when I realized being vegetarian equaled veal, and vegetarian equaled little baby chicks. So I'm going to shut up about this stuff because it's not what it's about. But what it is about is I got to share that beautiful video and some of that commentary, like what I just said, to our elephant food page. And our elephant food page has, I don't know how many people on it, hundreds of thousands, 100,000, I don't know. And 90% of them are not vegan. And if I'm just sharing that to a vegan page, who am I changing? Am I preaching about bicycling to work to cyclists? No. I want to preach about the joys and the money you can save and the health, the pounds you can lose of cycling to people who maybe haven't tried it lately. And I don't want to be judgmental about it. Maybe they're in their routine, they're busy, they have children, whatever. How can you bike? So you want to talk about bicycling to SUV drivers, not to cyclists. So talk outside of the choir. So our mission is, how do you share something helpful in an open way, meaning I'm willing to share my opinion and actually evolve. Like, I might be half wrong. So I'm not just preaching the truth, I'm sharing the truth and listening and improving the truth. And how do I share that beyond the choir to all those who might give a care? And that's our mission. And that
perfect. Yeah, that's great.
And that's
and it takes a bit of courage, right? A little bit of courage.
Yeah,
a lot of courage.
It's fun, and it's also just getting really practical. If you're a massage therapist or a yoga teacher or whatever, getting outside of the choir is how you're going to grow your business. So that's why we're teaching this stuff. It'll help your business, your livelihood. The definition of right livelihood is, as we said in the beginning, passion and making a living, right?
Do you want to grab that question from Cecilia real quick before we move on?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
You can actually just go find that article and read it.
Yeah.
But
90%
of the comments happened on Facebook, so they're not preserved. 10% of the comments are probably on the blog itself. But yeah, I do think it's an important conversation about, those kind of words.
All right. So Lisa Claire, this is coming from Facebook because we're streaming to Facebook Live as well. Hey, Facebook. You have been in journalism. You were in journalism before social media, right? So what do you think millennial journalists and writers are doing differently now than what journalists were doing before? And where do you think the future of journalism is headed? It's from Lisa on Facebook.
It's a big question. When I graduated from Boston University, which was one of the best journalism schools in the US, we had a departing graduation gift of an email address. So that's how new all of this stuff is. Like, Twitter didn't exist, Facebook didn't exist. You know, mobile phones didn't exist. So it's very exciting. A lot of people love to be doom and gloomy and about the present moment and say the golden age was whenever past, right? Make America great again is one example of that kind of, everything was better in some hypothetical past. So the fact is we've always had challenges. And now the fact that you can blog, you can share a video with moving people talking, and it can instantly be read the second after you hit publish, for free, by the way, in Mongolia, is straight up magic. Literally, Harry Potter, again, it was considered magic in Harry Potter to have newspapers with moving people in the newspaper. We literally have that in a blog that's free. It's called a video. So it's magic and it's wonderful. What has happened in a bad way is that anyone can write anything at any time and it can be read everywhere. And so as one of my journalism idols said, Edward R. Murrow said, just because you have the power to disseminate a message across the whole world instantly doesn't mean there will be any more truth to it. So we have to really, it's like in yoga, if you're incredibly flexible, you actually have to pull yourself back a little bit and hold to the center and ground yourself so that you're not overextending. So we need to hold ourselves to the truth. And where you get things like Breitbart or the equivalent on the left is people are just kind of making up their own facts. And so now is the time to create a general consensus that isn't liberal, isn't conservative, isn't rich, isn't poor, isn't whatever. It's just true, but not true in a self-righteous way, again. So Shelley just asked, is there a one-on-one career counseling in the program? So we have many wonderful teaching assistants, TAs. So you'll be in a small group, a little group of awesome people, peers, and then a leader. And then you'll have big meetings with me and other social media stars or whatever once a week. And then, yeah, if you need extra help, the TAs are generally helpful for you. And you also, one of the, this is the most inspiring fun thing we ever get to do in Elephant. Everyone kind of falls in love with each other generally. And so you'll have plenty of opportunities for peers. So there is one-on-one opportunities, but generally the small groups kind of fill that function. And you add, I see this as a life change, who I am and who I am. My day job is not who I am, but becoming a seeker of truth through writing is who I am as a human being. I would love to be paid to do what I love. Is it really possible? So I was an incompetent employee in the pre-Kickstarter generation. I was poor, so I couldn't start my own business in my mind. And because I couldn't even pay my rent, and I was eating day-old muffins half the time. And I was writing, book after book after book, but I never really finished them, and they never really were published because I had no connections, agents, or whatever. I did, but it was different. There was no LinkedIn then. There was no networking in the music. Like literally right now, Jess is super well networked. I could be like, hey, do you know whoever? She'd be like, yeah, boom, we're talking through Skype or texting or whatever. And 5 minutes later, I'm messaging someone in LA who can help me do whatever that she knows. So it's so easy. Back in the 90s, it was like publishing was up there, or making a living as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurism really is almost like a new concept in a funny way. It was available to a couple lucky few in Silicon Valley or wherever, but now it's like there's whole movements of finding your right livelihood. So, yeah, go ahead.
Well, just to kind of speak, am I echoing again?
Oh, you're good.
Am I good? Okay. To speak a little bit to that, in the academy, right, we're giving training to feel confident as a writer, amongst many other things as well. I mean, it's pretty life transformative, the experience you have in the academy. And what we want you to do is to gain confidence as a writer. Then you're writing for Elephant Journal. Elephant Journal has this platform that's reaching tens of hundreds of millions of people, literally. We have activity in every single time zone all around the world. People are posting and sharing our articles. And I could name 24 people that I know and Waylon knows that literally got their start at Elephant Journal, got their start with Elephant Journal as a platform, and now they're publishing, they're teaching courses, they're speaking, or they've gone off to do something else. But the level of confidence that you receive in an environment like Elephant Journal, where you're getting so much one-on-one literally from the editors, from Caitlin and Molly, who are the dean and the director of the academy itself, from Waylon's mother, even, our goal is to build your confidence so that you can start to frame a clearer picture of what it is that you want to share to be of benefit. And then you're given literally the gift of the Elephant platform to share that. What would you add to that, Waylon?
No, that was great. Yeah, just encourage people to ask more questions on Facebook, wherever. Do you have more questions for me, Jess? Or
Lots,
a couple?
tons.
Okay, hit me.
Hit you. Okay. Here we go. So this is like an Elephant Journal question, because we're talking about how things have changed from back in the day till now. You run a virtual newsroom. What is a virtual newsroom?
Well, I don't really run a virtual newsroom. I run a virtual business, in a sense. We have staff all over the world. We have editors. But what we don't, I guess we do in this, if you count all the writers, but the writers on Elephant are really self-guided and self-inspired. And we don't assign them articles. So a newsroom is really a journalistic term, and I have too much respect for that word to throw it around. What we're doing at Elephant is more generally personal writing, creative writing. We do some news reporting. All of it is on the foundation of journalism. But what a real journalistic enterprise like Washington Post or New York Times is doing is way beyond that. They have bureaus all over the world, blah, blah, blah. So maybe that's not the most inspiring response, but it's honest, and we're here about facts. What we are here at at Elephant is, New York Times, is we offer really professional editing, and that editing is incredibly rare for a blog. And we, as Jess was alluding to, we have huge reach. So we're able to reach beyond the choir to millions of people with good quality editing instead of. And editing, a lot of people think is about typos or grammar. Editing is not about that. Writing is about that. Being a good writer means you get your grammar right and you get rid of typos. Being a good editor is taking a decent story with not much movement or interest or not a good opening, long paragraphs, and making it accessible and making it move and making it inspiring and making it connect. That is editing. So editing is a part of what is 1/4 of what we teach for 1 month, I think, in the Elephant Academy. And editing is, if you don't think of editing as a romantic thing, go watch Genius on Netflix or read about Maxwell Perkins. Editing is almost like parenting. You're taking sort of raw material, a human being in the case of parenting, a story in the case of being an editor, and you're, as my parents' Buddhist teacher said, you're turning the flower outward so that it can be seen.
Mm.
Can I answer one question here from Christina with a K?
Yeah.
She said, well, 2 questions from 2 different Christinas. We have a lot of we're huge with the Christinas today. I really liked your invitation to write to be a benefit, not to make noise. How do we know when we are on task here? There is so much noise around us. So that word cathartic is what we teach in writing, is writing truth that actually unburdens you, helps you handle your own life, and at the same time is helpful to others. And that's how you know, when you feel that. And we will train that. And then Christina with a C, what tools can be used to stay on the path of right livelihood? So let's define right livelihood again. Right livelihood is doing what you're good at, doing what is of benefit to others, doing what helps you make a living, and doing what you enjoy. All 4 things, not just 2 or 3 of those. It's a Buddhist term, being of benefit through our life. What tools can be used to stay on the path of right livelihood and help minimize the daily distractions that pull to derail and distract you away from your goals? So the major tool, according to Buddha, for life, way beyond writing or editing, is meditation. So simply training your mind to come back and rest in the present moment. So as I like to say, I think it's on one of our shop items at Elephant, anything good that has ever happened to you in your life happened in the present moment. Any meal you ever enjoyed, any relationship, any kiss, you had to be present for it. You can literally kiss someone you love, and if you're not present for it, you won't enjoy it. You can eat a pint of ice cream, we've all done that, without really being present for it, you know? So you have to show up. And meditation really helps you show up again and again from distraction. Beyond that, there's lots of practical tools, but honestly, meditation gets at the root of distraction. The root of distraction is our speediness and our insecurity, which we want to cover over and bury with entertainment. Netflix is one of the greatest tools ever invented, or the mobile phone, to get away from the present moment. It doesn't make them bad. They can be used in wonderful, enjoyable ways, but what's bad is our own incapacity to be present and relax.
Got a question from David from Australia. He says, what would you say the common thread or encompassing message Elephant Journal looks to convey?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, it was breaking up.
What would you say the common thread or encompassing message Elephant Journal looks to convey?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I would say, you know, our mission is to share anything that is good for us, good for you, good for others, and good for the planet. So it's a three-part mission. And if it solves those three, if it fulfills those three criteria, then we'll publish it. That's why, you know, we have, one of our sections has a really awkward name. It's called non-New Agey spirituality. The point of that is not that we hate crystals or anything. The point of that is we're not here to write about me, 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 me. In Buddhism, we actually call that spiritual materialism, using spirituality or using religion or using whatever, smoothies, just to insulate ourselves from the world. I call it gated community spirituality. We're practicing this stuff to be good people and to be of benefit. So our hashtag on Instagram is exactly, Adrian, spiritual bypassing. Our hashtag on Elephant is be of benefit. And, you know, this is not a Buddhist notion. Eleanor Roosevelt was incredibly miserable her whole youth until one day she was volunteering. I forget what she was doing, but she was helping children out or helping the homeless out or something. And she did all of those things in the future. And she was happy. And she realized, I'm not consumed with thoughts about not meeting my father's expectations. I'm not consumed with thoughts of being ugly. I'm not consumed with thoughts of whatever. So in Buddhism, they say, if you want to be happy, think first of others. Not only, it's good to think and care about yourself. There's no sense of you're a bad person. So yeah, you should care about yourself. If you want to be happy, think first of others. If you want to be unhappy, think only of yourself. And I practice all this stuff. I'm not an example of any of this stuff. That's the mindful life. It's not the perfect life. I'm not a guru. If I were, no one would join my cult, except for maybe my grandma and my mom. But I'd probably join theirs. And I'm not here to be held up as anything other than someone who can talk about how to make a living doing something that you enjoy, that you're good at, that you can make money doing, and that can be of benefit.
Right on. All right, Waylon, I'm going to refresh my page real quick if you want to, because I'm getting a little feedback. Oh, actually, it's gone now. That's great. Perfect. It's gone. You ready for a speed round?
Sure. A speed round. Yeah.
This is a speed round, guys. A speed round of questions for Waylon. If you have questions, pop them over into the chat over here. Just put them over there and we'll get to him. Waylon has like 10 seconds to answer each question, basically. Like you've got to, so we're going to fire away. We're going to learn about Waylon, probably more than you need or would ever want to know. Here we go. Who was the last person you sent a text to?
I don't know.
What color was your first bike?
I don't know.
What was the name of your high school English teacher?
Mr. I don't remember, but he was great.
If you could go back in time to witness one historical event, what would it be?
Wow, that's a great one. One historical event. Wow. It would probably be something in Japan with the samurai and the emperors and all that. The beauty of that incredibly cruel but incredibly exquisite culture is something I've never been able to witness. 10 seconds.
All right. There we go. Tasha, over here. When was the last time you experienced loneliness?
Oh, probably every day. Not this morning, but probably yesterday or the day before. Loneliness is, in the Buddhist view, is a totally normal human experience that many of us make worse by trying to push it away or bury it in entertainment. Loneliness is simply our heart feeling the open wind. And loneliness with a smile is how we should feel all the time. And that's an intense statement. That's in the Buddhist tradition, they say that.
I'll give a plug for Waylon's book here. It's a good book to open the heart and feel that inclusiveness of the loneliness with everything else.
And loneliness can lead to appreciating beauty and openness and connecting and falling in love. Loneliness is empathy. To turn that outward.
David in Australia has got another question. Where'd you get that hat, Waylon?
I got this hat up in, I think in, well, I've had a few of these hats. I got one in Nebraska, one in Wyoming, and then this one I think I got in Steamboat Springs at this amazing cowboy shop that has everything cowboy. And if you're vegan, it's a hard place to go into to find stuff, but straw works.
Adrian says, what does your average day look like?
My average day, I begin by stretching and stuff, meditating, taking my dog out, working on my laptop, drinking some good coffee, biking around to different cafes or the office or whatever. It's a very routine, very basic, very wholesome life. I'm very outgoing and work very hard during the day, and at night, I typically am much more contained unless there's some event. And if there's events, often community events, I'll pop around. I call myself, I don't know what I call myself, but I'm very good at cameoing. Like I love going to things for 5 minutes. A lot of us are like, I'm going to go or I'm not going to go. And we have big arguments with ourselves about it. I'm very professional at going for 10 minutes and then doing the Irish goodbye.
The Irish goodbye, yep. Katie asks, who's your all-time favorite author?
In terms of writing, as in art, probably Fitzgerald, his short stories, which he put his most energy into so that he could pay for his wife, who was having mental difficulties in an asylum, are unbelievable. Kerouac is probably my other favorite. In terms of just books, like if I were going to go to a desert island, I would probably take Pema Chodron or Trungpa.
What are you afraid of?
I'm really bad with horror movies. I mean, I'm a big scaredy cat when it comes to like gore or like, I know everyone loves Game of Thrones. I like half of it, the rape and the torture stuff. I can't handle watching it. I think I'm like too empathetic in a kind of wimpy way.
You going to see it this weekend? You
I could not see a movie like it. But weirdly, I have no problem with like tension, no problem with like fighting. Like I'm watching, what do you call it? The Walking Dead right now. And I love it. Like, so it's something about like seeing someone you care about tortured. I'm not good with it. I'm also afraid of, I really want to have children in my life. And the notion of finding someone that you're going to love and be good friends with for the rest of your life, I don't honestly know how that works. And I think most people I know who have been married don't know how it works. So I am a little afraid of like, I really love children and I have so much fun with them. And I think I'd be a good dad, but I don't know that I totally see it happening. So I'm sort of afraid of that.
All right, here we go. A couple over here. You're going to dinner, Italian or Mexican?
Oh, why not both? I would say Mexican is my major thing. Vegan nachos, vegan tacos, all that.
Who's your favorite crime-fighting duo?
Crime-fighting duo. I mean, really only Batman and Robin come to mind when I think of that. Sherlock Holmes and Watson.
There we go. Nathaniel asks, do you consider yourself a spiritual leader?
I do. I don't consider myself a guru or any of that stuff. I do consider myself someone who makes spirituality accessible and non-pretentious. Like if an idiot like me can meditate and be open and enjoy life, then any of us can do it.
Leonie Green asks from Facebook, what inspired you to start Elephant Journal?
Well, my mom was a writer and an English teacher and a Shakespeare scholar and a Shakespeare play director. And my dad came from a long line of journalists, and both of them met through Dharma, Buddhism, and wanted to be a benefit. So basically, you get me. I basically want to be a benefit, and it seems like writing, like through Elephant, that kind of thing, videos is an incredibly easy and powerful way to reach millions of people, not with preaching, but with conversation.
Favorite work by Shakespeare?
I think Henry IV, Part 2.
You're a new addition to a crayon box. What color would you be and why?
I'm a new crayon. I would say I'd probably just be like some sort of red or maroon, some sort of Victorian color that's out of favor.
How many articles are on Elephant Journal total?
I think something like 40 or 50,000 articles are on Elephant.
David Rogers, what is so different about media and writing today as compared to just a decade ago? I know we talked about it, but how would you sum it up in one sentence?
So journalism has been devastated. It's very important that everyone here subscribes to your favorite publication. I don't mean favorite partisan publication. I mean favorite journalistic publication. So it's been devastated. It's also much more accessible and can reach anywhere for free instantly. So it's much more incumbent upon people to understand how to find truth and how to share it. And that's what the Elephant Academy does.
All right, we've got a couple more speed round like Waylon, and then we've got some Academy specific questions that we want to frame the last couple minutes of our AWA, our first AWA with. So just a couple more fun ones here. Stonewash or tie-dye?
Not a big fan of either.
What book is in your bathroom right now?
Definitely not stonewashed. Unless you're going for some hipster ironic thing, then any bat fashion is kind of awesome. What's in what?
What book is in your bathroom right now?
The book in my bathroom right now. So I'm not a big fan of reading on the toilet and stuff that's filling the space, but reading in the bathtub, major fan of it. The phone is banned from the bathtub. Right now I'm reading Ecoholic, which is an book by a very funny, accessible Canadian journalist about all the poisons that are in your body care and everything you use on a daily basis. So I'm reading that to refresh myself as an environmentalist and actually know the details of what's good and what's bad and what's toxic and how to guide people.
All right, last one of this, and then we're going to move on to some Academy specific stuff from Susan. If you had a theme song that sums you up, what would it be?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. A theme song that summed me up. There's this great old ballad, Irish ballad called Wild Colonial Boy, and that would be it.
Oh my gosh, can somebody find that and pop it in to the, I've never, like, pop it into the chat. Get it up on YouTube. Here we go. All right, so we definitely have some Academy kind of questions and that are coming in. So one of the questions involves, and guys, just real quick, Waylon participates every single week in our live meetings, so 12 meetings, 3 months, and he's there every single week with us. And you popped in, and so so you're getting this kind of feedback, answering the questions. It's super lively and engaging, and there's always a topic, right? So can you go through quickly, Waylon, like the 4 pillars of the Academy and sort of what, like, a bullet point on each one so we can kind of frame what the experience is like?
So the Academy is, if you do it, the full Academy as an apprentice, it's hard. No one should do it unless you really want to work Part of being a good writer is not just like, you know, the Pinterest photos where you're like sitting down with your vintage typewriter with your like tea and you're having some profound moment looking out a perfect window. Being a writer is being a mom and not having time and driving through traffic when you're late to get diapers or whatever you forgot at the grocery store and not having written in 12 days. That's what being a writer is, and still getting to the point where you write something. We're going to take you through a process of editing, which will be one of your favorite, most romantic words in the world after you go through that process. Writing, both in a personal way, creative writing, personal writing, and journalism. Journalism ethics, which again is probably people's favorite part, is the most boring thing ever, and then, you know, sounding. And then when you go into it, you realize that journalism is really the pursuit of truth in a very heartfelt way, is almost always everyone's favorite section. And then social media, how to share on social media successfully, which is the practical part. This is where the right livelihood happens. This is where you can enrich your life doing whatever you want. If you want to make pottery, knowing how to rock social media in a mindful, effective way will help you get those mugs sold. If you want to be a yoga teacher, if you want to be a massage therapist, if you want to start a nonprofit, we have proven success in every medium that has happened. And part of that proven success is choosing which mediums to nail. So not trying to do everything badly and be distracted, but focusing on 3 or 4 social media at any one time, or 5 or 6. So that's basically the course. It's a lot of work. And if you're not up for that much work, do elephantjournal.com/audit. The auditing is self-guided. There's quizzes. There's a point system. It's motivating. It's fun. You get access to all the learning and videos with myself and others. But it's not going to be stressful in that way. So if you have too much going on, please don't do the full academy and flake. We'll keep your money. It's fine with us, but it's not really worth our time. And we want a group of people who are willing to, when the going gets tough, they're going to learn, because that's how you become a great livelihooder.
And our deadline for our fall session, which begins this Thursday, is tonight at midnight. So our deadline is tonight at midnight. If you have any other questions, specific questions, you can email us, academy@elephantjournal.com. Pop them in here and leave your email. We'll try to get back to everything. You guys have had so many incredible questions about writing, wanting to get to know Waylon through the time that we've been here together. Waylon, is there anything else that feels like burning? You need to share it before we sign off.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so Beth, if you have the time, I would go for it. If you feel there is a certain leap that is necessary, if you're thinking if you have the time or not, you probably do. And because so much of time is saying, I'm busy, I don't care. When people say I'm too busy to do whatever with me, I translate that to my mind as they don't care, they're not inspired. Same thing as if Jess is like, Jess doesn't live here, but if she was like, hey, let's go for a hike, and I'm like, oh, I don't have time. Translation, I don't care. Right? It's all priorities. So go for it. If you think you might have the time, go for it. It's really just dependent on, do you care enough? And this is investing in yourself. This is the most powerful, they do study after study that shows buying things doesn't make you happy. Investing in yourself, learning, travel, experiences. This is an experience, and you're going to fall in love. And if you don't have the time, audit or do something else. But auditing is fantastic if you're afraid you don't have the time.
But real quick, Waylon, I mean, just everybody that's listening, right? If you sat down and you did a little audit of your life and all the things that you probably don't need to be doing, right? The amount of time that you spend on your phone or that you're spending doing things that really aren't bringing you closer to your purpose, helping you frame what your mission is, I guarantee that you can find 10 hours of a week extra time.
For sure. 100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, Beth. You can do that. Absolutely.
I prefer just saying I'm lazy or I don't care. If I'm not going to do something, and I'm not saying you're lazy and you don't care. I'm just saying for myself. Like people say, oh, run for city council or something. I always say I'm too lazy. At the end of the day, I'm wiped out and I want to sit down and watch whatever I'm watching. right? So I'm making a choice. So totally respect your own choice, whichever direction you go.
Follow your dreams and apply.
Yeah, I mean, there is a certain, like on Instagram, I've been sharing all these things about taking a leap. Like Pema Children will talk about taking a leap all the time. If you're waiting for everything to be perfect, you'll never do whatever that thing is. So if this feels like a time, I'll just leave you with the Buddhist quote. The Buddhist quote is about Dharma, about truth. And it says, the opportunity to run into Dharma is something that doesn't happen for 10,000 lifetimes. So if you have an opportunity like this, and this is not selling you on something, this is genuinely, I think, what happens and what we offer. And it's we keep it affordable for a reason. So it's successful. Today is the last day to apply for elephantjournal.com/academy by tonight.
New session starts Thursday, Shelly. Thursday, we run, it's 12 weeks.
And auditing, you can start and stop at any time.
Anytime.
Yeah, you have access to all the learning for a year, and it's much more accessible. I think it's $250, whereas the Academy is $850. The Academy is intensive learning with a lot of support. So if you need that support, Academy is your thing, but it's a lot more time.
All right. So, Waylon, thank you so much for making time today to be with all of us and share. It was so fun to just kind of get to know you a little bit more. And guys, like this is it. Like you get to spend time with the founder of Elephant Journal and the Academy. If it's not the right time for you, keep reading articles, keep subscribing to your favorite journalism websites, and we'll be back, right? We're going to be doing this like a lot.
Yeah, it's great. Jess, thank you. She's the one who had the idea for this live forum. They're lots of fun. Jenny, I look forward to meeting you on Thursday in the new Academy. And yeah, to David, that's totally, obviously, that's up to you. Thank you, Jess. Great job.
Yeah, do you want to pass us out, Waylon?
All right, so take the best posture of your day. Connect with the earth, the solidity and gentleness, nurturing quality of the earth, the sky above, the heavens, the spaciousness, and connect the two. Away. Thank you.